Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about?
Oh.
What you want to talk about?
I
What?
love it. I was over here.
That's smooth. The girl good. She did an excellent job with that.
She did that. Yes, she did. Yes.
She did a thing.
She like topped herself from the last one. Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah. Welcome, Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that cook.
Yes, they do. I love it. Welcome, everybody. We are super excited to be in the kitchen one more time. This is like my favorite part of the week, actually. Hey, Mr. Bruce.
What's going on?
Favorite part of the week. I just cannot wait to get in this kitchen and chop it up. And I actually said today we're cooking up this love gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So everybody gonna throw their ingredients in the pot. You know, we gonna cook up this love gumbo today. Of course, it is Black History Month, so
Yes.
shout out to the people, right? Power to the people. Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Absolutely. And Black love is so real and so beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So we are continuing in that vein because we're gonna talk about what's love got to do with it. I wish I was a singer. I really do.
God knew what he was doing.
So that's our topic for today. You know, what's love got to do with it? You know?
All right. Let's talk about it.
Actually, let me get a couple of announcements out the way just before we get started with that. We want to shout out Chef Shack is doing a taste of sensory experience. If you have never had a Chef Shack meal, you might want to try.
Yes.
To get to this.
Listen, them black eyed peas egg rolls.
Girl!
Hey.
So you can purchase your tickets at www.chefshack.com. It is Friday, tomorrow, and Saturday. 7 to 10 is live entertainment, it's food, it's a sensory experience.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is.
You will not be disappointed.
You will not. You will not. Chef Shack's been on our show a few times. She drops by and gives us little tidbits and talks about different stuff. So we are super excited to support her in that endeavor.
Her food is the bomb.
It is. Oh my goodness, it is. And then we have, I'm gonna get all of them out the way because I got a feeling I won't be able to say none of this once we get started.
Oh my.
Wait, which way I'm going? Especially with that one right there.
I can already tell.
Yeah.
Look, I already know.
It's gonna be them.
So we have one other event coming up. We are book clubbing it. So this is the book that we are reading, Internal Investigation, A Journey into Your Soul by Dr. Cool dude, Dr. Marvin Scott.
Oh.
Dr. Marvin Scott, you wrote a book.
Yes, I did.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
I will take back all the thoughts that I was thinking. So, congratulations.
You can find it on Amazon to purchase if you want to read with us. We will have that discussion on March 31st, Thursday, March 31st. We will talk with the author and we will talk about that book. So we're book clubbing it now. We got a lot of new stuff going on with Kitchen Talk. We just hit 100 shows.
Congratulations. Woo! A century.
So, yay! I'm super excited. It's so much joy when you see like something that was just an idea. It was just an idea. It was just a thought. And here's the manifestation of it. It's so beautiful. So, that being said, thank you guys for joining us in the kitchen tonight. I believe JT had to work. And then we send love and light out to France, who will be joining us soon. He is just not with us right now. So we have in the kitchen our official, well, I might as well just go ahead and have him just have that name. Our official co-host, sub co-host. Get on in there, Coach. Dr. Marvin Scott, who hangs out with us. He is always just a text away. I'll be like, MOG, you got to come on tonight. He'll be like, all right, I'm there.
Yeah.
So appreciative to you. We also have with us Joketra Horne.
Thank you.
Super excited to have her back in the kitchen.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And then we have Aprell Merritt with us again tonight. Super excited to have her. This is a good group to discuss our particular topic tonight. So, a few months ago or so, we started this kind of series. It's turning into a series, actually. So we did a show called Single, Choice, or Circumstance. And then we did a part 2 of that. And so now this is kind of our third installment, but we're going to take it into the love and relationship part of it. So that's where we are tonight. What's love got to do with it? We are getting ready to celebrate Valentine's Day. You see all the hearts around Joketra. I love it. 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 I love love. I love love.
We
and
should
not
love
like
love.
the song. I'm really good at it. Not like the song. Love. So here we are. All right. So my first question is love enough?
No. The answer is no. Love is, you talked about the gumbo. Love is an ingredient within the gumbo. Because it's going to take more than just the love.
Okay.
It's going to take other things within that to make that gumbo right.
Okay.
Just love is going to be bland.
Okay.
You're gonna need what you put in gumbo. You're gonna need all the rest of them ingredients up in there. You're gonna need some seasoning. You gotta make sure it's flavored just right. And I say that because love is an action. So you can't just have love. You got to have everything that comes along with. You got to be willing to make the commitment, the sacrifice, all that comes with. Because you can say you love me all day long. But if you're not stepping up to the plate and bringing it,
okay,
that's the way I feel about it. It's a guy now claim he loved me. Okay, but you don't have your act together. You don't have a stable job. You know, all these things. So, okay. Yeah, so no, just love does not work.
All right.
No, I'm not trying to answer this question, but I'm going to just throw this out there. His not having a stable job, how does that define his love for you? That's
because he's not making the sacrifice and stepping up to the plate and doing what he needs to do to prove himself to me.
So basically you're saying, if you love me,
that's right.
You'll get a stable job.
You do what you need to do.
You'll do what you
get your life together. I didn't share everything about the gentleman. I mean, he has he's not stable. He's in and out.
Oh, he know who you're talking about. He watching right now. He knows what she's
saying. No. What she's saying are qualifiers, but to go back to Lisa's question about is love enough, I think for me, I'm gonna take more of the 1 Corinthians 13 approach when we talk about what love is, and God is love. So I think that we have to understand the basis of what love is. I think a lot of times for us, the reason why it's not enough is because we place conditions on love. And when you love someone, it should be unconditional. And I think we as a race, we don't know how to love one another unconditionally. And that's where it led into Dr. Scott when he was asking about what does him having a job have to do with anything. But of course, we can't cover everything that Aprell has to say about the young man. But when you look at, when you say love should conquer all, love covers a multitude of things. Love does not envy, is not puffed up. You know, love doesn't keep a record of right or wrong. When you look at what true love is, really and truly, it should be enough. It takes a lot with that. But when you love someone, you're not going to leave them. You know, you're going to be with them and support them and encourage them, you know, and motivate them and inspire them, because you don't want anyone to leave you if they really and truly love you. So unfortunately, I think it's two sides to that. It should be, but unfortunately, nowadays it's not, because I think we don't really and truly understand what love is.
Yeah.
Well, but also I look at it biblically from a perspective of, okay, Christ died for us. He made a sacrifice. So to me, if you're going to love somebody, you're going to make the necessary sacrifice for the individual.
Well,
so I look at it from that perspective of, I think we kind of talked about the last show, the man is going to find out and do what is necessary. And I look at like my mom and dad, how my mom, when they met initially, a conversation, and my mom was like, oh, you got to get saved. You know, we can't proceed until you get saved. And that's what he did. He stepped up to the plate. So he presented himself in a manner that, okay, well, I know she the one. I'm going to do what it takes to have her.
And I agree with that. I do think that you do make sacrifices. In relationships, we make sacrifices. We should make sacrifices. That's what it's all about. I think that everybody is just not for you, and we have to understand that. It doesn't mean that they don't love us, but they just might not be the person for us. So that's what we have to pray and ask God for, is to bring the person in our lives that will be for us, because if being saved is important to you, it might not be to someone else. You know, him working or making 6 figures might be important to one person, but it might not. Him being 6 feet tall might be important to one person, but it might not be important to another person. So I think that that's the part that, you know, if it's not going to work for you, it's not going to work for you. But it doesn't mean, I mean, I have past relationships where I loved them, but theirs just wasn't right for me. And I think that's okay.
Yeah. And I think God sends you choices. Because the truth of the matter is, I could have been married a long time ago and in a relationship, but it was a choice.
Yeah.
Consequences of choices.
Yeah.
Right? Is it by choice or consequence?
And listen, I will even go a step further to say
Circumstance.
Circumstance, right? Circumstance. Yeah.
But I look at the individuals now, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. You know, I'm just saying.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole thing. Even when we talk about God, that's why he gives us free will. It's because we have to understand that the choices we make, there are consequences to the choices that we make. So when you choose a partner, that's your choice. So you have to, you know, make the decision. I mean, I've been married before. I made the choice to marry him. So the consequences that come from that, I have to accept those consequences and realize that I was the one that made that choice. He didn't put a gun to my head, you know, for me to marry him.
I agree.
All right, Marvin, jump on in there.
Oh yeah, he just got a lot to say.
I'm just listening. I think too, though, you know, like Joketra was saying, from the standpoint of, in our English language, we only have one word for love.
Mm.
And that word is limited. And most time the word we use for love is about a feeling. It's how we feel, you know. And so, like you were saying, you know, as far as like we talked about like joy, right? Joy is not about a feeling, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, how I feel inside in spite of. Well, true love, when we look at it from God's standpoint, or you know, that agape love, it's not about a feeling. It's
Right.
this is how I feel, and it takes true power to love like that. You know what I mean? It takes power to love like that. You know, you have to be strong to love like that, because you have to deal with stuff, because marriage is work.
Right.
To be married means that you're willing to put the work in, to do what's required, to make it work, and as Keith Sweat would say, make it last forever. You know, so I
You're a little Keith Sweat in there.
Right.
so I think you know, when we look at it, when you really love someone, that's why you stay. You know what I mean? That's why you put up with certain things. I think what happens is too, there are other things that we start wanting outside of just, I know you love me in the sense that you care for me, but do you love me in the sense of, would you make sacrifices for me? Do you love me in the sense that you will change who you are, or change how you act, or change what you do? You know what I'm saying? And that's a part of understanding love. God loved us, you know, like she was saying. So now, do I love God enough to try to change, so that I can live my life pleasing to Him, and not according to how I feel in my flesh? You know what I'm saying? And so some days I do, and some days I'm like, Father, you know, and that's just the way it is in a marriage. You know, some days, hey, you know what, I love you regardless. And some days I know my wife, and I'm like, go to sleep tonight. I'm gonna put this pillow over your face.
Oh my.
But
Call me, Leslie. I'll be your alibi.
but Dr. Scott bring us some good points, because when he was talking about that, if you just think about it, just imagine how God could easily say, y'all say y'all love me. Well, why y'all down here acting and doing the things that y'all do if you say that you love me? You know, so the same way with you and a spouse, you know, or in a relationship, you can look at it from that perspective. So is your answer, what is your answer, Dr. Scott, when you say, when Lisa asks, is love enough?
I said, if we understood, like you were saying, if we understood the full meaning of love, then we will understand that that is actually enough, because that's why we do what we do. I don't make concessions for someone that I just like. You know what I mean? I'm not going to put up with certain things with someone that I just like. I put up with certain things because I love. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like, you know, and again, we talk about now a loving relationship that's a passionate love. But at the same time, you know, it has to be unconditional, because, like, for example, I put up with my kids, and my kids might do certain things that get on my nerves, but I'm gonna put up because that's my kid. Now, don't let your kid do that, because I ain't putting up with that. I ain't got, listen, they got
And that's actually kind of the way I kind of see the question, is love enough? I think if love is a driving force, then yes, it can be enough, because love will dictate the things that you do, because you will do them out of love. So I won't have to question if you love me, because I can see it. It has a tangible value to it at times. It's not just a lip service, or it's not just sex. It is thinking about that person and knowing that if I do such and such, that really upsets that person.
But it is sex too, though. Yeah.
No, I didn't say it wasn't sex. I said it's not just sex.
Yeah.
But I need you to understand, it is sex too, though.
I understand.
She understands that.
but you know,
I'm not saying
Listen.
that I'm saying that it's not just sex.
Yes, sex
Don't
by
get me
itself.
wrong. I understand that sex is important. I'm not
No,
saying that it's not, but
and-
I'm saying is that can't be the only way that you show me you love me.
right. No. And you're right. And I'm just saying that to be funny, but at the same time, because like we talk about love languages and how we speak about love, and so we have to understand that men, when it comes to love languages and intimacy, we view those things differently. And I think for women, you have to understand that. So when you understand that I married a man, or I'm with a man that has a high drive, sex is not the only thing, but that's part of his language. And I have to speak his language enough for him to know that we are actually communicating. Am I making sense to you? Because if you don't speak his language enough for him to know that that you're communicating with him and communing with him in a language that he speaks, he walks away feeling like something's missing. So those things is, the Bible talks about how God gave man a helpmeet, right? And when you look that word up, it actually means a suitable counterpart. And we're all different. So we want to find someone that's a suitable counterpart. They are the yin to our yang. They are the right to our left. You know what I'm saying? And they help make us complete, and they fit us, right? And so a suitable counterpart then understands that we're all different. So our relationships are different. And what's important in my relationship and in my marriage may be different than what's important in someone else's relationship and in their marriage. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's that communication piece that's important. And so when you begin to understand that true intercourse is not sex, it's communication. So the basis of true love and true understanding, like you were saying, is communication, being able to talk. And so most times the person that you talk to the most becomes the person that you're most intimate with. And again, intimate doesn't necessarily mean having sex. Intimate means sharing your deep feelings, your thoughts, your emotions. And once you share those deep thoughts and emotions, those feelings with someone, that's the person you're most likely to be with. The problem is a lot of times in relationships, when we're in relations, we as husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever you want to call it, we are not talking and sharing those intimate relations and feelings with each other. We're not intimate in that way with each other because we don't want to hurt each other's feelings.
Ah, that's interesting. So that was actually going to be another question. Like, what is that next? So when you're making a gumbo, you got to have a roux, right? When you're making the real gumbo, like I ain't talking about just throwing some tomato sauce and stuff like that. They take time and make this roux, is what they call it. So to me, the roux is love, right? And the roux has to be right before you throw all the other ingredients
That's
in
right.
it.
I agree with it.
Right. So that next ingredient to me that is really, really important is whatever, let's say whatever meat you're going to use, whether it's going to be chicken or shrimp or fish or crab or whatever. So what would that next important thing when we're talking about love and relationship and what's love got to do with it? I think you kind of segue into it, Marvin, when you said communication. Like, how can you not feel comfortable enough to really bare your soul to the person that you say you love?
I think I mean, I don't know if you were saying in regards basically what he was saying, especially with the whole sex thing, because a lot of people confuse love with sex. Sometimes women give sex, thinking they'll get love, and sometimes men say to women that they love them in order to
To
get
get
sex.
JT,
So and it
right on time.
it amazes me how quickly someone can give of themselves, you know, a woman to a man without knowing much about him, without that whole communication piece. And I do think that communication is key, but we have a lot of relationships that's lacking in communication, you know, and that's why the divorce rate is so high, you know, because sex has taken over and those soul ties have gotten there and they're still connected just because of the sex. So when you were talking about all the ingredients for the gumbo, I'm just like, they all have to really work together. You know, trust has to be a big part of it. Respect has to be a big part of it, because the way that you respect a person is probably going to dictate sometimes how you communicate, you know, to them, in my opinion. But go ahead, Dr. Scott.
Maybe take away to me. You know, just say it, you know.
No, I was thinking about when Marvin said the person that sometimes you're most intimate with is not the person that you're in necessarily relationship with. And my question is, why be in relationship if that's not the person you can't be the most intimate with?
Because you don't want to hurt their feelings, because a lot of times what you want to share may be about what they're not doing or what they are doing, and you're getting frustrated. You know, you follow what I'm saying? So that's why you have to be careful who you have as friends.
Well, can I take a stab at this, and you two gentlemen can tell me if I'm right or not? I think for men, the person, when you say intimate, are you speaking of intimacy or are you speaking of sex?
No, again, like I said, intimacy is not just sex.
No, I know, but I was asking Lisa.
No, I'm saying sharing your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions,
right?
Having those conversations,
right?
And that's
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Why is your partner, the person you're in relationship with, why is that not the person that you're the most? Because he said sometimes that's not the person that you're the most intimate with.
Okay. Well, then I was thinking of more of sex, not intimacy.
You get your mind out the gutter.
I was just about to say that. Why are you thinking
well,
about sex?
You brought
sex gotta be the gutter.
Dr. Scott, you brought up sex. You and
right.
you brought up sex.
No, let's hold up. See, JT, I'm glad
y'all ain't finna do Dr. Scott like that. That's why I had to go in, because we got to
figure out.
Because first thing,
sex gotta be the gutter.
Hold on.
Talking about sex does not.
I may explain, Lisa.
Please explain.
Lisa,
please explain.
You had said about sex, and you were basically saying, like, you know, not sex. And I just wanted you to understand, to men, sex is important.
I did not say not sex. I said not just sex.
Right. That's what she said. And I wanted to clarify if you meant sex or intimacy. So that's why I asked to clarify, because they are viewed differently. So therefore, we can have the conversation and be talking about what it is we're supposed to talk about. Dr. Scott.
Okay, we'll talk about it then. JT, I'm glad you're here, boy. Woo. I was just thinking about all this estrogen. I was about to call on Mr. Bruce, somebody to help me.
So JT, since you come into the conversation, let's get your take on, is love enough?
I think love can be enough, but we got to get them draws though.
He went to sex.
Right there. He in detour.
That's what I do though. I mean, not like go to sex, but
that's what he do.
That's what he do. He just said it. Make it plain.
I got to say something to make people laugh. But nah, love should be enough. But at the same time, there are a lot should be added. That's me. But
we didn't hear you. You went out for a minute, so we didn't hear what your added things were.
Well, I'm not gonna say what the added things are, because that might incriminate me, and I plead the fifth.
Well, we got to help the people, so we got to be transparent on what the added things are, because you're right. There are a lot of things that have to be considered or added,
But
but
at the same time, I'm gonna honestly say that in my past, I've probably had problems with certain things like that. But I have grown.
praise the Lord.
I have grown, and one thing I had to learn how to do is admit certain things when I'm wrong. I have had to learn how to communicate better. I think I chimed in, and y'all were talking about communication. I had to come to grips that sex is not the only thing on this earth. I know that people say men, that's all men think about. And yes, I think at one point in my life that was the case. But as I have grown, I have learned a lot. Dr. Scott, chime in, help me out, pull me up out this thing. Now, come on now. Don't leave me out here.
Hey, listen, it's about your thoughts, man. You sharing what you thought. So that's good.
And I'm sure you're not the only man. You're probably sharing what a lot of men, think. They just may not share it. So that's why it's good for you to share that, because us women need to hear that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and just since we dealing with that aspect there, like like JT was saying, again, for a lot of men, like you said earlier, sex is not about love, in a sense. For a man, it's about a need.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a need, and so men, a lot of men can have sex with women that they have no feelings for. That's a different place. But I'm saying, in a marriage, when you're in a marriage or in a relationship, you have to understand the mindset of that man. Understand that those are certain things that are important to him, and if that goes unmet, you know what I mean. So so just saying, in relationship, it's not just about sex. Me personally, I think one of the most important things in relationship is communication. Can we talk for a minute?
Okay, Tevin, for a minute.
Yeah.
Girls, I want to know your name.
All right. All right, Dr. Scott, you got us. Go ahead.
So I think that's important, because that's an important part of love, and it's not just talking about how your day and things like that, but it's really getting to the place where I understand what's important to you, and I get to know you from the standpoint of I can feed those areas, and I can communicate to you in your language. And sometimes we don't always do that, and so, like, if I speak Spanish and you speak English, if I take enough time to really understand English so I can speak to you in your language, at some point in time, it's important that you speak to me in my language. It shouldn't always make me feel like I'm always doing it one way. You know what I mean? And the other thing I would say too is, you can't make me accept your love language.
Right.
Right.
See, because you try to show me you love me in that way, and I'm like, okay,
right,
but that's not fulfilling for me. So you have to take time and communicate and learn my language, and I learn your language, so I can give you what you desire and you give me what I desire. That's not always going to happen. That's why I say it takes love and work, because at the end of the day, you're not going to always be, happy.
Love and work with the gumbo, those flavors and things in there, they have to complement each other. Now go back to the definition that you gave, the biblical definition of the helpmeet. What did you say that was, Dr. Scott?
A suitable counterpart.
A suitable counterpart. So within your gumbo, if it's going to taste right, those things have to be counterparts. They have to work together for the flavor to be tasteful to the palate.
Can I say one thing about the gumbo?
To me, the flavors and the gumbo and all that, they're communicating to each other.
If I can say one thing about the gumbo, I eat gumbo. I don't know how to cook it. So when you're talking about the roux and the stew and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know how to cook it either. I'm just using that analogy from the perspective of you were talking about the relationship, the communication, the work. And I'm just using it as a sample or example of, okay, everything has to work together. They have to complement each other, to build the flavor and the outcome that you're looking for.
Right.
So apply that same thing to the relationship. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So you got the love, you got the roux, and then all the other things that Lisa was talking about.
Joketra?
I had a question for Dr. Scott, because over the last few years, the 5 love languages have become so popular. What if you what if you meet someone and they don't know their love language, or they don't care to operate off the 5 love languages, because we use that automatically assuming that the other person knows their love language, and we're going to see how our love languages can work together. But what if you meet someone and they don't care to adopt the 5 love languages? How do you navigate within a relationship? Because it can't just be based on that, because with the 5 love languages, you're supposed to do those, just because that's the one time doesn't always mean, that's going to always be your love language or rated that way.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the truth be told, most people don't know their love language. But we often give love the way we want to receive love.
Receive love right now.
So it's like, and I'll use this as an example, and I'm talking to my students in class. I teach how I learn, and you have different learning styles. So you want me to teach you a different way. I have a hard time teaching you a different way, because this is the way I learned it. This is the way I teach it. So when I'm going through life, I give love to my friends and my family. I give love to my wife the way that I want to receive it. You know what I'm saying? So I have to take time to be able to communicate and talk with you and look at you to see what you do, what you like, so I can begin to pick up on those things, because most of us don't know, but I know what you do. Probably 9 times out of 10, you want somebody to do that back to you or something.
But I think it's too, is that we have a love language or whatever, but we haven't been taught to label that. Right. So no, I can't tell you my love language is gifts. But if you know that you walk in the house and you just thought about me that day and you got me a gift and I'm over the top, then you should take that as, okay, well, when I want to make them happy, or when I want to give them joy, when I want to lift them up, then this is what I'm going to do. So I think part of it is because we're learning, we're reading more, we're, exploring, we have the World Wide Web and all of this stuff. So now we are learning to label different things. But mama them ain't label nothing.
Right.
No. You pay attention, like you said towards the end, Dr. Scott, you have to learn the person.
Yeah.
You pay attention to them, and then you know what pleases them, or what speaks to their love. You know what I'm saying? You have to learn the person.
But I also think
part of that is through communication, observation.
But what I also kind of was picking up from what Dr. Scott was saying when he gave the example about his student, when you were saying to your class that you are teaching them the way that you learned. And I think that in relationships, we have to understand, though, that your experience is not my experience. And we have to be understanding, to enough to say, or because we love them enough to want to understand their experiences, and how they need to be loved or desire to be loved, because the way that you might want to receive love might not actually be the way they want to receive love, because their experiences were nothing like that. They never got love. They don't even know what love is. You're the first person that's showing them that. So I think that, we do have to be mindful of that as well in our relationships.
Absolutely.
And that does make communication a big piece to it, because that needs to be communicated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think, unless when we're dealing with this big relationship thing, think about this from the standpoint of how many relationships that we've been in our lifetime that actually started with real conversation. You know what I'm saying? Especially, when we were younger, what was that conversation like? Because again, if you didn't see a healthy relationship, and you didn't hear healthy conversation, you know what I mean? Then out in the world, what does that look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Right.
you have a young man coming into his own, testosterone levels are high, you know what I mean? And all he's thinking about is it's getting hot in here.
Yeah,
So
I can honestly say, man, from growing from a boy to a man, you really yo, what's up, my hey, yo, psst, 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 hey. Yeah, that don't work no more when you get
that
a
don't
certain
work no
age.
more.
You know, you know what I'm saying?
It does not.
But if I can say this too, because I have two sons, right? And I can tell, and I was talking to my youngest son about this, because my wife and I, we've been married for 26 years. Again,
All right.
not saying, not saying perfect or whatever, we have our, hey, don't look for the book for model married. You ain't gonna see us, but but
There
we do
isn't
love,
one.
you know what I mean? But we do love each other, But what I'm saying is all they've seen is marriage. And so my sons date girls differently than I did. My mom and dad separated when I was like 3 or 4. My example of a man in the house was my older brother, who was 6 years older than me. That wasn't a good example of what a man was. Dolomite was an example of, hey, look, that's how you're supposed to be when you get older. Way down in the jungle deep. You know what I'm saying? James Bond. Those were the examples that I looked at. Oh, okay. When you get older, and the older guys in the community and stuff like that. So, but my sons, they see things differently because they were able to see a mother and a father in the house in a loving relationship. And so now when they're dating, I had to tell my youngest son, look, you can't expect every relationship that you're in to last forever.
Amen.
Who you're dating right now doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be your wife later. Because he's looking from the standpoint of my mom and dad stayed together. They've been together for this long. What he doesn't understand is, okay, but before your dad met your mom, was in this and out, in this and out. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
And so trying to get him to understand, but his thought process is different. Saying all that to say, we learn by what we see too. You know what I mean? What like you were saying before, life experiences. And their experiences are different. And so they look at relationships different.
Yeah. So I think too, we learn a couple of things, or we can learn two things. We can learn what to do and we can learn what not to do. I think sometimes as women, if we see something bad, then we go out searching for, something good. We go out looking for the opposite of what we saw. And then sometimes I guess we do have run into what they say, every girl marries her father, which, but we we tend to kind of gravitate to the things that we didn't have. So if we see that this person is giving us something that we didn't have, that we felt like we missed, no matter all the other stuff that go along, we'll just take that and go with, because we're getting what we thought we didn't get. I think, well, I don't even think that's just women. I think that's people in general. So we start looking for the things that we imagine what it should be like or what it could be like.
And I think that that's a combination, because there are certain parts of my dad God rest his soul, that I do look for in a man, his work ethic, if he loves God. So I have a whole lot of characteristics from my dad that I do look for in a man. But then my dad was not romantic. I am a hopeless romantic. So I want a man to be a hopeless romantic. So I think that we kind of pick and pull from certain things, because what we have gotten when we have gotten it good, it's hard to go back. But there are certain things that are extremely important, and work ethic for me is important. And if he's a God-fearing man, that's important.
Sure.
So I think that just kind of depends nowadays. What works for some might work for others. But I do want to meet a man that's more like my dad. So I understand where that part comes from.
Yeah. And I agree with your statement about, it's a combination. And listening to Dr. Scott talk about his son, I'm a single parent. And my son dates just like your son, what I'm saying? And I had to tell him, you're going to date girls. That's not necessarily going to mean that one girl is going to be the one. I had to tell him that. And I also teach him, because one of the things with him and just observing his relationships when he talks to me, I teach him, you got to communicate. Because that's something that I saw that he was not doing well in the relationship. You got to tell her. Don't, just shut down and don't say nothing. You need to communicate. And I said the communication goes both ways. But I think he's pulled from different dynamics of the family members. He's seen, marriage, but he's also seen me as a single parent, and he's seen me as a single parent date and be hurt. And we talk about it, because I feel like it's important to have those conversations with him. Son, you see what I experienced. So this is a picture of what you don't want to do.
Good for you.
So the communication part, I try to instill in him, at a young age, so that he will know things, what to do and what not to do. And a lot of kids nowadays don't get that.
They don't get they don't get that parent-child relationship.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Because
we didn't either. That was grown folks' business.
It really was.
It was grown folks' business. And you just didn't. My parents divorced when I was really young. And my mom said one of her regrets was, well, not regrets, but one of the things she said was, we didn't see them fight or argue, so we didn't understand why they weren't together. And so with my stepfather, who raised me, I call my dad, we saw the whole gamut of it. You know what I mean? We saw them upset with each other. We saw them love each other. So it gave us a more realistic view of, as they say, teeth and tongue fall out sometime, or whatever. So you could see like the whole picture. And it was more helpful. So,
But I think that's one of the things that we could do better is when we are dating, is have more deeper conversations about how was your childhood.
Absolutely.
Did you see your mom and dad fight? Because I'm a single parent. I was married for 12 years. So my son is the same way April is your son. He dates thinking they're going to be together forever, even though his dad and I divorced. But that's what he sees. But for me, my mom and dad, I saw them argue. I saw them go through it, the cheating. I saw all of that. So for me, I don't like to argue. I look at cheating in a distasteful way, because I saw all of that and I can understand it now and process it. But they stayed married up until my dad died last March for 57 years. So they worked through it. But now I'm like, no, I can't work through that, some stuff. So yeah, I think that's why you have the conversations, because some people don't even realize that how the impact from their childhood affects them in dating.
Absolutely.
They don't realize that.
Yeah, because it's trauma. So there's a social worker in me coming out.
Yeah.
The trauma of the childhood, and it manifests. And the adult is still a child crying out in certain areas because of the trauma they have dealt with it.
Yeah, because have you ever dated a man where you start asking him a question and all of a sudden he don't want to talk about it?
Right.
You know, and I'm like, so you haven't dealt with that. You know,
Right,
just like the stigma in the African American community about going to counseling. And it's like, you need to go to counseling, you know.
Gotta get out, gotta talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to talk about it. So
Listen, we need you to be set free.
Let me tell y'all something. Counseling has been one of the greatest things ever for me. I swear on God.
There you go.
I'm so excited for
you know what? Me and Lisa talked about it one time. I think me, Lisa, and friends talked about it one time. And I was like, I ain't doing that crap.
I'm not doing that. I'm a man.
And that's one of the things about us men, especially black men. We had learned to internalize everything. We pack it down. Something happens, we put it in, pack it down, and we never talk about it. And then when it comes out,
it come out the wrong
way.
Out the wrong way in rage and everything else. And I recently was able to, you know, I went to counseling and I completed it twice.
Congratulations.
I'm so excited for you.
You kept going till you pass.
That's good.
And it's still go ahead.
Go ahead, Joketra.
Oh yeah, and like I was saying, it was just like the best thing ever for me because I did not realize that I had all of this stuff locked up in me that caused me to possibly fail in relationships and fail in this and fail in that. And then when it all came out, I was like, you know what? Wow, I feel free. I feel like the slave that got away from the plantation. You know what I'm saying? And I was, and it was just like real freeing. And I'm
proud of you. I'm proud of you for that. And I hope that you will share that with more men. Because I think
I have.
Okay, good.
But you know, but I can honestly say, you know, telling some of the people, I was talking to my daddy about it one day, and he was like, you ain't need to do all of that. I was like, nigga, you the reason why I had to do it, some of it. But you know, it's just like
you got real free. Look, you got real free.
Excuse my language, but I was like, you know, dude, you gotta sometimes
but JT, you have to understand, because of from the era that he was brought up in, that's why he feels the way he feels. So for even with my mom and dad, I had to look at them and give them some grace because they didn't know. You know, so the fact that you have been through it, it can help you understand why they can't understand.
And you do. You have to understand where they come from. But it's not all the time a male thing either, JT, because we as women, especially black women, are taught, you know, just keep going. Don't worry about it. Suppress those feelings. It'll be all right. You know, my mom told me about some things that she went through, but it was like she was all right. I'm like, how are you all right with, you know, you just, and she would say, you just pick up and you go on. Yeah, that happened. All right, whatever. You dust it off and you move forward. You strong. You know, you this, you that, you the other. And a lot of times, like you said, there will come an event that will happen that you will not be able to just pick up and move on from, and then you don't know what to do.
Right.
Because, well, I'll tell you, one of the questions that I always ask men that I date, and I always ask them, when was the last time you cried?
Yeah, they can't cry. They're dangerous.
You know, and that tells me a whole lot about them when I ask them.
That's dangerous. Because them emotions got to go somewhere. They're going to come out. That's a dangerous place.
I have. That's a good. That's a very, very good question.
Great question. I agree.
Tears, I'm telling you, if your tears don't come out your eyes, your heart gonna cry.
Yeah, they coming out.
Your lungs, something is gonna cry.
Yeah,
I can honestly say that. Like I cried so less that I can tell you when the last time I cried.
You probably cried in counseling.
Yeah.
I actually did.
You need to go back.
I actually didn't. Yeah, I didn't cry in counseling.
Go back on the couch, cross your leg, and lay down.
No, April, he might have waited till he got in the car, got home, and thought about all of those
Did it
things.
in private.
And then
I actually cried like maybe 3 weeks ago. I was on my way to Jacksonville, and I thought about my I was driving. I thought about my grandma and some other things, and I think I needed to just let some things out, and that's normally when that happens, like when I'm driving somewhere by myself. And speaking of that, I gotta go. But yeah, and before that, it was at my grandmother's funeral. That was when I know when I cry. So I don't cry that often, and I know that's bad, and I'm trying to get better.
You're gonna get there.
I'm
Go
trying
to
to
a
get
few more sessions though.
I don't need no more now.
Now look,
No, we can't ever say we don't need anymore, because sometimes it's good to just check in.
That's right.
Because sometimes you don't even know
You don't know what
there,
you need,
and you don't ever want to wait to where you get somewhere where you can't be saved or recovered.
Right.
So I wouldn't take that approach, but you can be free, and that way it'll allow you to recognize when there's something, like we wake up some days and you like, something don't feel right. What is it? I done worked out, I done meditated, but it just ain't right. And sometimes the outside party will be able to pull some things out of you, and you'll be like, that's what it was.
I ain't gonna tap into you tonight, JT. I'm gonna let you slide tonight.
He's gonna lay you on the couch.
Man, listen, she
I
always
tapped on you last time. I ain't going there tonight.
She always do. You always do.
I'm gonna hold it.
I don't know what it is about me, but she always got to feel like she got to bite my head off or something. But it's always some reason.
We need
it's all out of love.
We need more people in our lives like that.
Yes, ma'am.
And see, I don't think that men have friends that they can be that they're comfortable being completely transparent with. Us women got a girlfriend that we can get on the phone and tell them everything from A to Z, or we have different girlfriends that we can tell different stuff to. But I don't think that men, that you guys, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think they do, Joketra. I think they do. They do it in the barbershop.
No,
we don't.
No. We talk in the barbershop, but not like that, dude.
That's what I'm talking
about. No, but I think, if you got somebody you call your best friend, then you talk.
They know where the body's at.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think what you have to understand is, as men, we process things differently.
Yeah.
We process things differently. And for example, when I'm going through something, a difficult time, I don't like people asking me what's wrong. I really don't want to talk at that time. I need a moment. I'm like JT. I get in my car and I drive and I think. And then once I have that moment to think and process, now we can talk. You know what I mean? When my mom passed, look, I don't need a lot of people calling me saying, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. That's not how I deal with it. You know what I mean? And I talk about it. I just talk to certain people about it, but we process things sometimes differently. It's not that we don't care, not that we're unemotional, but we process things differently. And we do men gossip just as much as women.
Yes.
Yes, we know.
But will y'all allow them to see you in a vulnerable state? Will y'all cry in front of another man?
Yeah.
No.
I would.
One said yes, one said no.
No, he said yeah.
Listen, but again, what I'm saying too is it's about friendship. I have friends who, this is my guy. He knows everything. We talk like that. Therefore, I'm gonna share. If I feel like crying, I'll cry. You know what I mean? It's not like I can't tell you any moments where me and the fellas, we just sat there and we cried together. No, but we do that.
I got
I think we all process differently. Like I just lost my mom.
I'm
And
sorry.
I like what Nicole said.
so what
I
I'm
like
saying
what Nicole
is,
said.
Nicole said, what did
Yep.
she say? Men do
and we
have.
all process differently.
Yeah, she said men do have friends that they are comfortable sharing thoughts with, but sharing their feelings and emotions is difficult.
Yeah.
And
Is that,
I
is that
think
true, Marvin?
that's the standpoint that I was coming from. You know, thoughts is one thing, but feelings and emotions is on a whole nother level.
But now Marvin just said if that's his boy, that's his guy, then it's not that difficult with him.
I think too, what you guys saying, we have difficulty sharing it with you.
I was just gonna make that comment. I think the
Yeah.
problem is they don't share it with the women.
We don't share it with
But
you.
they'll share it with their boy.
But if that's my boy, if that's my dog, we talk.
Because
Well,
you don't
now
want
that's
to
what Marvin say, but JT say he not crying in front of no dude.
I ain't go. I'm gonna be honest with you. My boy William, he is that person. I cried in front of him one time. I think I was going through something and I broke down or whatever. He's the person that I can talk to all the time. But
Now,
I can honestly say I
cry.
can. Huh?
but I heard that it's certain things that you can cry about. That a man can cry when they lose someone, but it's hard for a man to cry to another man over him breaking up with a female.
Oh yeah, because
So I heard that
listen. I have those people in around me. Some of them that's like you talking about a female and you talking about you finna cry about a female, and they gonna be like, Negro, you done lost your mind, boy. You better.
See?
So is that
tighten up.
pride? So what is that? Is that a pride thing? Is
I
that a
don't
pride thing?
I don't know.
Is that a pride thing?
Well,
What is it?
Well, that's what I was
Well,
talking about talking to about certain relationship things, because they want to be viewed. They don't want to be
In a
looked
certain
at in a punkish way.
Right.
Again, I think you're talking about two different things. Hold up. So let me tell y'all from a man's point of view, right? Let me say it from a man's point of view, and let me say this first, going back to JT real quick. JT said he doesn't cry, he doesn't really cry in front of men, but you got to remember what JC said first, period. JT said, period. He don't cry in front of people anyway. He don't really cry. He can say he can count and tell you when he cried. So his not crying in front of his best friend, if he's not crying that often, isn't because he's not vulnerable to his friend. It's because that's just not what he does. You follow what I'm saying? Now, men, we talk, we share. If again, you got to go back to, we have somebody who that's my guy, and if I ain't got that person, that's my guy. We talk and we share and we talk about everything pretty much. You follow what I'm saying? And so, with that being said, there is no situation with my guy that I can't be open and vulnerable, because that's my guy. Now, if I'm hanging out with the fellas might be like, nah, man, you crying over a girl. You follow what I'm saying? Why? Because in our mind, look, a girl come a dime a dozen. Go get you another one.
Oh, problem. They ain't no. You better listen. Oh, I ain't gonna tell you what JT Money said, but yeah, go ahead, Dr. Scott.
Yeah. So,
we've been on songs all night. What JT Money said, JT?
No,
Come on, you can't bring it up now. JT, say what JT Money said.
You ever heard the song "Whole Problems Ain't No Problems"?
Ain't no problem.
Don't hate the game because it ain't no. Don't solve them. Man, you need to let them go.
I'm sure I've heard the song, but didn't know the words. I probably have danced to the song, but didn't know the words.
JT Money said, "Whole problems ain't no problems. Don't hate the game because it ain't gonna solve them. Man, you need to let that go. Some that'll hope be a hoe, because girls come a dime a dozen, this and that, yada yada yada. But that's just go ahead, Dr. Scott, because I'm just kidding.
So again, so when you're with the fellas, of course you can't, because again, everybody's putting on a show of testosterone. You know, it's a room full of alpha males, and alpha males are not going to be vulnerable in that setting. But when I'm with my best friend, all that stuff is out the window. I can show that man that hurt. Man,
but you can show that side to your wife also, correct?
Say again?
No. You can show that side to your wife. That's the question I'm asking. Can you show it to your wife?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
it took you a while to get there.
Yeah.
To get there with my wife.
Yeah, to be as expressive.
That's
No.
Because you did say a little bit earlier, we may be vulnerable or cry with our boy, that's my guy,
Right.
but we're not gonna do it in front of you.
In front of the
Right.
women.
That's what you
So
said.
that's why
No, hold on. Listen, don't try to
listen.
Can you
to
roll
everything.
Hold on.
roll back that beautiful bean footage? Can you roll it back?
Yeah, hold on. No, you're right. I'm saying from a guy's point of view. Now, but what I am saying that yes, I can talk to my wife and I can express to my wife. That's one of the things that and Lisa, you could ask her, but that's one of the things that hey, look, I'm gonna let her know this is how I feel. I'll let her know this is what I like, this is what I don't like.
Okay.
And my thing is, and I always ask her, what can I do? Where am I missing it at? Tell me, because the only way I'm going to get better is if you open up and you share and you tell me. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you don't open up and share and you tell me, then I'm gonna say silence is consent. I can keep doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. But I can open up, and now again, there are some things that I'm conditioned to be the man. And because I'm conditioned to be the man, there's certain things that I'm not going to do in front of her or around her. I don't care how bad. I got to be feeling pretty bad for me to say, babe, I got to go to the doctor. Truth be told, she calls the doctor for me. I'm not going to call.
I ain't like
Why?
that. Now. You
in my mind, I got to suck it up and just get over it.
Because you want her to see you in the man light.
Because that's what the man
change the man light.
That's what the man's supposed to do. I gotta say that.
Now, did you have this discussion with her ahead of time? And when I say did you have the discussion, I'm saying when you all were dating or first got married or whatever, did you say, I'm a man, and I'm not going to show you this, or I'm not going to, and I'm not saying it in the words that I'm saying. I'm just saying,
I got you.
Did you have a discussion that said, this is my view on manhood, and this is how I operate? Or did she just have to learn that?
She had to learn it, because at the end of the day, I didn't know that was my view on manhood.
I got you.
I didn't know. I mean, like I said before, I don't know my love language. I didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't learn my love language in a book. There was just certain things that how I express love. It wasn't because I read the book and said, 5 love languages. You know what I mean? No, this is what I do. This is how I give it. This is what I like. You follow what I'm saying? And so when it came, I mean, come on. I didn't sit down and say, well, I'm a Virgo and I like these things and I don't like. No. I mean, you follow what I'm saying?
My name is Larry.
And my name is Larry.
Float on. You know what I mean? First I did it with Kevin Campbell, Can We Talk? And then, I went into,
you done took us through the whole R&B list.
Right.
Kevin, Keith Sweat.
Your picks now.
And JT had to bring in a little JT money.
Hip hop, we've been through it all. So listen, this has been Kitchen Talk, because Marvin just takes us way over our time.
That's right, Dr. Scott.
I got it. I got.
I hope you don't hold your students in class longer than you're supposed to.
Twice a week, sir.
He probably does.
Well,
listen, it has been Kitchen Talk. We are so excited. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that cook.
And that is what they do, and they definitely did tonight. Thank you so much, Aprell Merritt. Thank you so much, Joketra Horne. We're gonna have to do, I guess, our 4th installment of Single Choice or Circumstance. This one was What's Love Got to Do with It? And I think we found out that love is pretty darn important.
Oh no, I had something to say about that, but we ain't gonna go there.
So if you are watching us on YouTube, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button. Never miss another show. We are super excited to have you hanging out with us on tonight. You know, about this platform, we can just kind of run over a little bit, but the conversation be good. You just kind of stay with it. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. We will see you next week. We're doing village check-in. So come back next week when we check in with the